What's going on? What's the word? It's about to awakening, heard all over the world. What's going on? Kimbo Kimbo, Natatanzambi Yamazulu. Welcome to our listeners on Facebook and on YouTube. And I say welcome to everyone here who are joining us on Zoom. Always glad to see you. Madonna being with us. We have our Queen Dada with us. It's been a long time coming.
Long time.
Queen Tabitha, I tell you, we have received a lot of comments, people loving what you have been giving them and giving us and sharing with us.
And glory to the Most High.
So welcome back.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I will turn it over into your hands.
All right.
Let me know what you need me to do. I'm at your service.
All right. Thank you so much. Bana betu, greetings once again. Abana, Batatanzambi, Abantu, Bayitu, the household of the Most High, the house of David, the household of Abraham, the household of all our ancestors, righteous ancestors who came before us. Yes. I greet you in the name of the Most High, and I'm hoping that you have been doing well. I've been following, I've been missing you, and a few things happened here and there. I had to move to end of the city. So right now I'm living like at the edge of the desert, the real desert. So I moved house, and my neighbors back here are just comers and a few people here. Okay, I live in a good place. I have all the amenities, but I also think it's okay. It's quiet here than where I was before. No cars, and it's okay. It's good. I'm always late at night studying, so the environment is really quiet, and I thank the Most High for that. All right, so I have a small cold, but we will continue. We'll not give up. Huh? So Bayitu, I have a lot. I don't know where to start and where to finish, but we are just going. We will just go up and down, But since we had introduced ourselves to the topics there before, I know you will at least be able to join whatever we are saying here. Even if we are skipping, we might go to Mesopotamia, we come to the Kushites, we come to the Bantu people, we go to the food, we go to this, we go to agriculture, we go to the rivers, but I hope you're going to connect. The most important thing is to connect the dots. That's what is important. And you will be surprised today because the things we've been talking about, see, we are not historians, we are not archaeologists, you see, we are not history professors, but the same things we have been saying are the same things. The professors, the scientists, all the most educated people are saying. You see, this is the work of the Most High. Whatever you've been saying about Egypt, about the Kushites, whatever you've been thinking about the civilization, the lies, and asking you the same questions, you will see today that the people who have gone to school for 15 years just to study Kemet, just to study Kush, and it's the same things they are saying, but these things the Most High has revealed to us within a month, 2 months, an year, 2 years. You can imagine. So the best education is the education that comes from the Most High, because it comes with confirmation. You don't need to pay for it, right? It just gets downloaded here. So even all the things I've been following, Mama Brenda has been talking about Yaya Mazambi, and all of you contributing are the same things these people have been talking about. So there is nothing new under the sun, all right? And the history repeats itself. What was there is what is now currently. So nothing has changed much, right? Nothing has changed much because everything was created in the beginning. So what is happening now is just a repetition of what was already installed by the Most High, the foundations that were already there from the beginning. So there is nothing they can tell you, oh, we have discovered this. It was already discovered. So when a white man, for example, comes to Africa and says, I have discovered this tribe. So the person asks, you have discovered me, but I discovered myself before you did, you see? So these are the things they have been doing and made us look very, very stupid. So somebody comes, okay, I have discovered a tribe that has very few people. We have tribes in Africa that their language is almost dying. There are very few. One example is a tribe called El Molo. They live in northern Kenya. I think they cannot even reach 50,000. They are very few. So the government was concerned like, oh, this tribe, these people will disappear. What can we do so that these people can multiply, they can retain their language and their culture? So anthropologists will come and they will write in their books and theses and whatever and say, we have discovered a tribe, you see? But these people have been discovered themselves the moment they were here on earth, millions of years ago. So how come a person comes to discover them? You see, so we have to discover ourselves before somebody steals the narrative and says that they discovered us. So we will go right to the last video. Second last video, the one that I said we will start with. It's
The second
it's done by an Arabic guy. You can see his face because now I'm using the same phone I was communicating you with.
Okay, he's pulling it up now.
Yeah, second last video. This is an Arabic guy there in front, and he's talking something about East Africa and yes. Okay, that one. You can play it.
Okay.
Yes. So my people, watch this video. Don't mind what he will say about his religion, about the other things. And, you know, everybody has to defend his religion, especially now that we are in a world that is just about religion, nothing else. So whatever he will say, it is his own point of view. We will not attack him, but what we want to hear is just the important points. And those points, you just get them. Even without me telling you, just get them. So listen carefully.
And you all please let me know if you can hear the video, okay?
الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلي وسلم على سيد الأولين والآخرين نبينا محمدا. Give the Muslim world the ability to rise to the surface and to show the world that the real solution is within the revelation. It's the lifestyle revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all of the prophets and to our last prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And so this time is, we could say, a time of isolation. And as the Muslims and the rest of the world are forced to stay within their homes, there's a chance for us to reflect. There's a chance for us to look into ourselves and not just be caught up with the things that are happening around us on a daily basis. And so self-introspection and looking inside oneself also should connect us to the past. Because by connected to the past, we gain clarity in the present.
Yes.
And people who do not understand their past will actually be confused in the present. And so we find that in the book of scripture of the Muslims, the last testament, Al-Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed 1/3 of the revelation in a historical form. Al-Qasas. These are the stories of the prophets. These are the stories of the nations that came before us. And it is through these stories that we gain valuable lessons to help us in the present day. In Surah to Yusuf, verse 11, Allah tells us, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي قَصَصِهِمْ عِبْرَةٌ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, that in their stories is wisdom, great lessons for those who would reflect. And so the history, the stories that are being given to us are not being given just to read, but to benefit from. And so in looking at our history and looking at the world, it's crucial for Muslims to understand the background that we are coming from. And I want to focus in this series, inshallah, on the African continent, and especially East Africa, to look at this mysterious part of the world, misunderstood. And I can say honestly that East Africa and Africa as a whole is one of the most misrepresented, misunderstood places on the planet Earth. And so to break through the ignorance, to break through the barriers of confusion, we want to go back in time to understand what happened in this continent and to put it in perspective so that we could understand more about the people who are living in this region today. Many European historians, when they look at Africa, they write about a dark, backward continent. They write about ignorant people, and some of the top historians have even said Africa has done nothing for the onward flow of civilization. There couldn't be a greater lie than this, or a greater distortion. The reality is, if we go back and try to understand Africa, not as an isolated continent, but actually as part of a huge portion of the landmass of the earth, we understand that over 55 million years ago or so, according to scientists, there were tectonic plates shifting. There were major changes that went on in the geography of the world, and the African continent split away from what is now known as Arabia. And the Red Sea and the Horn of Africa then formed. 25 million years or so, with tectonic shifts going on, a great valley formed. It is called the Great Rift Valley. And that valley in the northern part reaches all the way to the Jordan Valley in the Middle East and goes all the way down to Mozambique in the south. And so this is a large system, a large ecological system, a valley system. It is this area that we want to look at, and especially with the formation of the Red Sea and with the movement of the currents and the ocean, we're looking at East Africa as being from the top of the Red Sea all the way down to Mozambique. And the inland form of East Africa would be not only Egypt and the Sudan, but it would also stretch down to Ethiopia, to Uganda, to Kenya, to Tanzania, all the way down to Mozambique. That whole region there is what we are considering to be East Africa. And it's important for us to have that perspective when we are looking at history, because nothing is static. And as time changes, the earth changes, circumstances changes, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to make revelation, continues to give us information. But we are the ones who have to give perspective to the changes and understand what is going on in our lives today. So again, if we go back in time, we find that the oldest remains or records of Homo sapiens is actually coming out of that Eastern Africa, Southern Africa region, where people from thousands of years ago, Homo sapiens, then migrated and then moved from the highlands of Ethiopia and Uganda and Kenya. They moved down. Now it's important when you look at Africa, you would think goes from north to south. Actuality, according to the geography, south. So the upper part of the Nile is the southern region. And it is from there that in Africa then migrated and finally reached what is now known today as the Nile Valley. Historians go back to 17,000 years that the Nile Valley actually had the ability to be cultivated. But we know that around 10,000 BC, that the early people coming out of that Eastern African region settled into the Nile Valley and began to organize themselves and to cultivate crops. And so they developed the early city-states of the Nile Valley. And we have solid information that by 3,500 BC, there were a number of states in what is now known as the Sudan, northern Sudan, and southern Egypt, the Nubia region. And these states were known as Tasseti. And we have proof of 12 kings that recorded themselves and living in this area with their people. It is from these civilizations that the people, again, continued to follow the Nile. They followed it down. This is the Upper Egypt area, and they followed the Nile north. So they're going down north. And they migrated until they reached the delta. And that is what is known as Lower Egypt. So Upper Egypt was that Nubian area, the area of Sudan and southern Egypt, and Lower Egypt was the Delta region. And it is reported that around the year 3200 BC, that a great leader whose name was Namir united Upper and Lower Egypt. And in some cases, it's called Menes. This was a great political move. We could say it is one of the greatest unifications that happened in the ancient world. So we united Upper and Lower Egypt, and we still have a bust, a sculpture of his face. So we can say that Menes, the great leader of Egypt, united Upper and Lower Egypt. And he was able to bring about this unification and bring together the strength of the upper section and the lower section. It is through this unification that the ancient Egyptians, sometimes known as the Anu people who originally came there, that they were able to develop an amazing society. And one of the Egyptian historians, Manito, he actually records 30 dynasties, over 561 different kings, who we now know as the Pharaoh, or the Fir'aun in Arabic. And the ancient Egyptians were able to develop one of the earliest writing systems, the hieroglyphics. They developed physics and math and philosophy. They had a calendar going back thousands of years. And because of this development, they were able to control the Nile. Remember, the Nile is flowing down, and this Nile is the gift of Egypt. It is the gift of the Sudan, this whole area. So the Nile flows into this desert-like region. It turns and the ancient Nubian Egyptians were able to subjugate the river, to control it, send it out into different agricultural areas in order to develop their civilization. And so by 2650 BC, this is what is called the Old Kingdom of Egypt. It is around that time that they built the step pyramid in Saqqara. This step pyramid is an amazing structure that is still standing up until today. It was built for the pharaoh whose name was Zoser. And I had the opportunity to go below the pyramid and to look at to see that they were doing complicated brain surgery, that they knew decimal numbers, physics, math. They had an amazing understanding of how to deal with structure and architecture. This society now continues to develop. By the year 2500 BC, approximately, the ancient Egyptians built the Great Pyramid at Giza. this pyramid, up until today, is one of the wonders of the world. Just imagine this. This great pyramid of Giza that is built, it had approximately 2,300,000 blocks of granite. Some of these blocks were a number 2 tons. The blocks were actually cut out in Aswan, which is in the south, and they were taken up. Remember, they're going down. They were taken from Aswan, which is in the south of Egypt, all the way to the area of Giza, which is near that delta. And they were put into perfect position to develop this amazing structure. It's shocking that this pyramid, built by African people, by the ancient East Africans, was the tallest building in the world up until the 19th century. It's shocking. 2,300,000 blocks of granite. It's shocking that the corners of the Great Pyramid are perfect right angles, that the corners go exactly north, south, east, and west. And there is more granite, there is more stone in this building than all of the churches and cathedrals in England from the time of Christ until now. It's also shocking that it was not slavery as we have been taught, because the ancient Egyptians saw it as national service. And it was actually done during the time of Khufu, again, an African pharaoh. And he developed this pyramid, and we see that it was practical science. Just to have the right perspective, because especially for Muslims, Christians, and Jews, there is an understanding of the Prophet Abraham, Ibrahim alayhi salam, who travels from Iraq through Syria and then down into Egypt. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, his time is approximately around 1640 BC. So we need to put this into perspective. If you look back at the Step Pyramid, 2650 BC, you look at the Great Pyramid, done much later, 2500 BC or so. And then now, Ibrahim alayhi salam is coming in much later. If you look at the time of Moses or Musa alayhi salam, he is coming approximately around 1525 BC. So that means it is over 1,000 years after the time of the building of the Great Pyramids. And so it was not done by slaves.
Mm-hmm.
It was not the Pharaoh beating the children of Israel and they're carrying stones on their head. The pyramids were built long before Abraham himself actually entered into Egypt, long before Musa alayhi salam was born. And so we need to have the right perspective. Even greater than that in terms of perspective, the Greek civilization, which many people say is the basis of civilization in Egypt and in Africa. Greek civilization kicked in somewhere around the 8th century, which is the 700s. So if you look at that, the ancient Egyptians developed their early pyramids 2,000 years before the Greeks even started their civilization. And the ancient Greeks were not racist. The ancient Greeks wrote about their civilization and they said, we got it from the ancient Egyptians, and they were dark-skinned people with woolly hair. And so the reality is that with the development of calendars, with the development of hieroglyphics, with the development of architecture and science on this level, we can safely say that this part of East Africa was one of the most important places on the face of the planet Earth. 30 dynasties, 561 kings. So many things happened, so many incidents happened. Even the concept of the belief in one God, because the Quran is telling us that prophets and messengers were sent to every nation and every tribe. And so therefore, at some point in time, prophets and messengers were also sent into the Nile Valley region. And so the Pharaoh that we know, that comes in our Quranic texts and we find in the biblical text as well, that is probably the son of Ramses or his grandson. And again, that is coming long after the building of the pyramids, long after the basic development of Egyptian society. And so again, now looking at our East African structure, from the top of the Red Sea all the way down to Mozambique, we go to the year 1473 BC. It is around this time that the daughter of the Pharaoh Thutmose I, she became the queen of Egypt. Hatshepsut was her name. And she married her half-brother Thutmose II, who was 12 years old. And she virtually was the regent of Egypt. Eventually, she completely took over Egypt. And so Hatshepsut was a very famous woman in ancient Africa and the ancient world. And she did a number of very powerful things. People remember Hatshepsut for two major reasons. One was the fact that she built a beautiful temple structure and a city structure, and this is Deir al-Bahar. And she organized this area and built this beautiful structure. And you can see on the walls, I had a chance to go to the temple of Hatshepsut, and you can see on the walls the reliefs. They actually drew pictures on the walls, and some of it remains up until today. And there's hieroglyphs on the walls. And I looked at the walls and I saw a discussion happening about trading going on between the ancient Egyptians and the people of a land called Punt. Punt land was to the south. And you can see the Egyptians now meeting the people of Punt, and a brisk trading going on in this area. So Hatshepsut was known for using the Red Sea and then traveling down to the bottom of the Red Sea to what is now the Horn of Africa. It would be now the present-day Djibouti, Somalia, this area down in there. And this was a land that was so important to the Egyptians at that point in time that they called it the land of the gods. And they said that in this land, there are so many products that can be used for religious purposes. In their poetry and their writings, they looked at Punt as a type of mythical land, a mysterious land. And some say even the mother of Hatshepsut, Hathor, that she came from that region. And so a brisk trade was going on. Some of the interesting products that were coming out of Punt was gold, frankincense, ivory, ebony, leopard skins, also aromatic resins, live animals, fragrant woods, eye makeup for cosmetics, cinnamon, copper, carved amulets, naphtha, myrrh with your frankincense. And so you can see some very important products. For religious purposes, you'll see that in many parts of the ancient world, they were using frankincense and myrrh, which was coming from southern Arabia, Hadramaut, in this region. And Punt was a type of trading center. And so the people of that area were gathering the products that were coming from southern Arabia, from the resin of the trees. This is the frankincense. There's also a type of frankincense which is gummy and you can chew it. So it's like the first chewing gum. Cosmetics. So think about this, the level of society going now. Cosmetics, beautiful, itta, aromatic smells, perfumes. And so this is a magical land and a very important center, which today we would call the Horn of Africa. And so drawn on the walls of Hatshepsut up until today is this connection to show what was happening in East Africa, moving from the Red Sea and then taking us up.
All right, Dada.
Yes, you can stop there, Dada. And then
Are you there?
Yes, yes. Can you
Okay.
see me? Okay. Okay, I would like to
Please.
comment on
We don't see you.
just a moment. Yeah, just a moment. Using the same phone, multitasking.
Okay.
All right, so I would like to comment on what he said. He's given the history of Kemet, of which we have been studying, and we know whatever he's saying is accurate according to what we see, what we've heard, according to oral history, according to archaeology, and the rest. And you heard what he said. The concept of agriculture began in Africa. So the concept of agriculture for us Africans, for us Black people who are in the continent and those who left the continent, or for us, the people who were native or who have the bloodline of the ancient Africans. So to us, all these people who are scattered all over, but their bloodline came from the ancient Africans, the concept of agriculture began with us. So there is nobody coming from another place and teaching us to grow crops, to keep animals and the rest. So that one is very, very clear because we had rivers, the Nile is there, and the source of the Nile is deep in Africa, and we grew our own crops. So why am I saying this? Because the Mesopotamian theory of Iraq does not include you. You Black people, whether you are a Bantu or you are a Kushite or you're a Nilote, this concept of Iraq and the Euphrates River and agriculture and the concept of like they are the people who taught the Africans and the ancient people how to grow crops, it's totally wrong. That is not for you. So just follow your own history. Your own history is in the continent of Africa. That is the beginning. If you want to know your history, you go to the beginning. You go to Africa, where the ancient of your ancestors were. That's where you get your story. But if you want to go to Mesopotamia and Euphrates in Iraq, you are going to lose everything because the Mesopotamian story is their story. So these people who are in Mongolia and some people in Eastern Europe and some people in that Levant, they are the people claiming that for us, the people who taught us agriculture were here in Iraq, between this river and this river. Okay, then from the story, they named it Euphrates and Tigris. So that is their Euphrates, that is their Tigris. But for you, that is not your Mesopotamia. That is not your beginning. You know, these things we will keep on, fighting, going forth and forth, people bringing receipts and, Okay, I want you to understand this, my brethren and my sisterin and motherin and everything. This is not our story. And we are going to find out which people were in Mesopotamia. They were Black people. That is now the shocking thing. They were the Black people. So they found these bones and they said these Natufians lived here in the Levant. And they began agriculture. They are the first agriculturalists in that region. So they influenced the people of Asia and the people around that Levant. But they are not the same people that influenced us. We were on this other part of the continent. They didn't come flying saucers and aeroplanes and coming with ships and teaching us how to grow crops and millet and the rest. So let us stick to our own story. So the story actually was hijacked and stolen.
Hey, Dada.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I just want to comment on something several things that he stated, and I'm quite sure that the others picked up on it. He mentioned the 12 kings. And so you have to understand, they said there were 12 tribes, but they were 12 kingdoms. That's why you see on the old ancient maps, you will see in French, 12 royaumes.
Yeah.
That is the king, our kingdom. There were 12 kings from those 12 sons. So those 12 kings that he mentioned are your ancestors that Bible talks about. Now, secondly, she mentioned about the Nafusians, I think is how they pronounce it. I've been researching on them because of a project that I'm working on. There's research that the European historians did and the archaeologists did on a graveyard that they found, where they found bones of the Nafusians, which were the early people before the pharaohs, which were our ancient ancestors. And research, they discovered, surprisingly to them, that the DNA that they extracted was the same DNA of those of the what they refer to as the San people of South Africa and the Sub-Saharan, which majority of us come from Sub-Saharan on here. All of us come from that's on here. I know the people majority is on here. We come from Sub-Saharan Africa. So so these were your ancient ancestors. And she talked about agriculture, and he talked about the agriculture and how these our ancient ancestors, they call the Nufashians, they created the agriculture, and there was this tool that they use called the sickle blade that they found there. The sickle blade is also used and found in Sub-Saharan African. Okay, let's come back bring it home. So when they came onto the continent and they started taking our ancestors, what were they using them for? Let's connect the dots here. They use our ancestor for agriculture and for building buildings in the what they call the New World, and the different places that they took them in the diaspora. So we knew this, and they used it. See, this here technology, the agriculture, was passed down generation to generation. So our ancestors knew this. They knew about farming. And so they took our ancestors to South Carolina, to Mississippi, all over in the Americas, using our ancestors to plant rice from the knowledge that they had. The blade that they brought over it came from the sickle blade that our ancestors used, that they brought over here with them to help farm. So I want you all to connect these dots. Those were your ancient ancestors. Those 12 kings over there was what the Bible refers to, the 12 tribes. No, they were kings. Those are our ancestors, you all.
Yes.
Okay, back in your hands.
Thank you so much. Thank you for elaborating that. Yeah, so they have hijacked the story. And made the story to be their own story. And it's shocking that every day they dig the earth, the blackite becomes. That is now the shocking thing. So another thing he mentioned is the concept of one deity. That concept came from Africa. So the ancient people in Africa knew about the Most High. They knew that no matter how many gods we worship here on earth, there is one creator. No matter how big-headed we are, there is one ruler of all the universe. So this African concept didn't come from outside and came to Africa. You see, they keep on insisting that this Abrahamic religion came from Iraq. But today we are going to ask ourselves, who are the real Iraqi people? Who are the really Iraqi people? Did they capture the Zanj people, take them to slavery to Iraq, and then steal the identity of the Black people and put the history in Iraq? What happened? Why did they have to come to the East Coast, enslave the Zanj people, take them to Basra in the marshes so that they can rehabilitate the land and farm, and take the history of Africa and fix it in Iraq. So that is the question. And the Iraqi people, the people today as a tribe who call themselves Iraqi, they said they came from Mesopotamia. But the Mesopotamia they are talking about is not Iraq. They came from Harar, Ethiopia. So Harar is mentioned in the scriptures. And the same word Harar is the same word you get when you come to Zimbabwe, Harare. So there is a relationship when you see the places on the continent. You will find one place named this name, you'll find the same place named the same name. Another name you'll find is like Tabor. Tabor is named in scripture. You'll find a place in Ethiopia called Tabor. You'll find Tabora in Tanzania. You will find a mountain called Gaza in Ethiopia. There are so many mountains in Ethiopia, but they are unknown to the public eye. So you find a mountain called Gaza in Ethiopia, and you find a province in Mozambique called Gaza. You ask yourself, what was happening? So this concept of one creator came from Africa and went out of Africa with the people who transported this out of Africa. Remember, there are people who left Africa, and especially the Sabaeans, and settled in Yemen. When they reach Yemen, they give them a script. They gave them a writing system. And this writing system enabled them to write Ge'ez, which is an ancient language of the Ethiopic Orthodox Church. And it also enabled them to even write Greek. The Sabaean kings and the Aksumite kings who were in the African continent and those who were outside the African continent who had conquered and taken Yemen were able to write in Greek. So when the apostle is asked by some people, do you speak Greek? Somebody, Paul, was asked, do you speak Greek? So there was people in the continent of Africa speaking Greek in those days. So the Grecians were here in Africa. So the concept of one ruler, and you'll find in the Bible, there is a place they tell you about the people of Aden, the people of Telasa, the people of Aden. Aden and Eden is just the same word. You see there the Gulf of Aden. It's telling you this is the gate to go to Eden. So at the Gulf of Aden there in Yemen, you can cross by boat. You can cross by boat from Somalia, the Horn of Africa, Eritrea, and you can cross by boat and you reach Yemen. Actually, the landscape and the climatic conditions in Yemen are similar to those climatic conditions found in Somalia and those Red Sea places. So in the scripture, the Most High talks also about the people of the Red Sea. The people of the Red Sea are called the people of Telasa. They were with the people of Aden, they were with the people of Rezeph, and they were with the other people as well. And the people of Haran. This name Haran also, you find it all over in the continent. So these people of Haran and these people of the Red Sea migrated to Yemen. And you see here in Yemen, there are three religions that flourished in Yemen. There was Judaism that stayed there for many, many years. There came Christianity, and later on, there came Islam. You ask yourself, a small country, why were religions coming forth and moving about? Because there were people migrating, coming to trade and doing the other things. So the Red Sea is an African sea. It is not the Red Sea, but it is the African sea. So what he mentioned is the Queen Hatshepsut of Egypt doing trade with the people of Punt. So she used the Red Sea to access Punt. So there were no Persians that time, there were no Greeks, there were no Romans using the Red Sea. So it is called the Eritrean Sea because they are the people of Eritrea. The Eritreans are the owners of that sea, and the people of Djibouti and the people who lived along that place, and the Kushites as well. So the Red Sea was an African sea before it was colonized. It was not the Red Sea, but it was an African sea. And so the people of the Red Sea, the Most High talks about in the Bible, those people were Africans because they are coming from Aden, and they are the ones who have colonized Yemen. They are coming from Rezef. They are coming from Haran. There is a place in Somalia all over that coastline called Haran. So those people were there. So those were Africans. And they took the concept of one creator out of Africa. And then those people went and started twisting things the way they twisted it. Actually, the first Quran, the early Qurans, I've done some research and some reading. The first Quran was not even written in this modern Arabic they speak today. It was written in an ancient Arabic, and that Arabic was influenced by the people of Saba. It was influenced by the Sabaeans who had left Africa. So the Sabaeans, the people of Saba who left Africa, are the people who gave them the writing system and building dams and all the technology. Okay, he said frankincense was coming from Yemen, but we know 90% of the frankincense is coming from Africa. Yemen there is, but most of it was coming from Africa. So that is the only contradicting issue there. So thank you so much. I hope my people, you are catching. You're catching, and you have something to add. You have something to add.
Yeah, what you were saying about the Quran. I have some information written by an African author that wrote down Torah, Quran. It came from Kemet, and he broke down the meaning of each one of those. But they came from Kemet. So yes, and I'm gonna find it, and I have Manzambi to share it on here so people can see that you know, no disrespect to nobody in their religion, but the truth has to be told.
It has to.
Yeah.
So, the truth sometimes it offends.
Yeah. So
I can't apologize for the truth offended, because the truth has to come forth. You know, it is time for the truth to come forth. So everything came out of Africa, started with our ancestors, as she's stating. And also I'd like to mention when she stated that we have the concept, African people, the concept of one creator. You can go to every different ethnicity, every different tribe, every different clan on the continent of Africa, and they will tell you a name of a one creator. They did not give us this. They only use religion to dupe us, to fool us, because they know that we were spiritual people.
Yes.
You will see that those people that came in and tried to tell our history in Kemet, because the Bantus were in Kemet, and the Nilots, the Kushites, all of us were over up in that area, and there's a blood relation to all of these people. Understand, we're all one, you know, even though we say, hey, we're Bantu, but when you go all the way back, there's a blood connection.
Yeah.
And I said that to say that they said that the European historian says that our ancestors worship multiple gods. Not so. They don't understand our history. And when I told you, you have to go within, I said that for a reason. You will get. Okay, can someone
Somebody's ringing.
Sorry, because it's kind of distracting. I don't know. I can't. Let me see. Okay, but back to what I was saying. They said there were multiple gods. No, there were not multiple gods. A lot of those people that they say were quote unquote little gods were actually royals. They were kings, and you have to understand African history, our history. to know the truth. So our kings in our culture, let's go back to Bantu. In Bantu culture anyway, the kings, the queens, the royals, the NT are representative of the Most High here on earth. And so they were looked upon in the sense as a god in that sense because they represented the Most High and they had covenantal relationship with the Most High because they were supposed to rule according to the ways of the Most High. When that Bible says to bring heaven here on earth, that was what they were supposed to do because we have certain spiritual laws, which were the laws given to us by Tatandambe. And so those laws have been in null effect at this moment in time. And that is why we have chaos, but we are restoring that order and going back to it. So back to those kings. And so those that they were saying that they worship, no, they were honoring them. Didn't they say honor thy mother and thy father? And in our African,
Exactly.
father and the mother are God's. Why? Because they are procreators. It is me being a mother and he being the father of our children. It is through us that they came. His semen, my womb, our DNA. So we are procreators. We are assistants and creation. So to them, we are our gods because we created. And the scripture says that we are gods. So they mistranslated that. They took it all out of context and they have just screwed over our history and have our people thinking that we were some people that were not honoring the Most High. We were just doing whatever we want to do. No, they lied about our history, you all. And it's time, as I stated previously, that we know the truth. So majority of the Greek gods, when you begin to research them, they came from Kemet. They just gave them Grecian names, Roman, and then the Romans came over after the Grecians, and then they gave them their Roman names. But you will see the majority of their gods, that they're called their gods, are our ancestors. So they are worshiping our ancestors.
Exactly.
Research it. Research it. You will see. You will get the revelation. Go within to hear and then research it, and you will see they're worshiping your father. So, essentially, because I am my father, you are your father. So, essentially, they are worshiping you. Why? Because we are gods.
Yes. Well,
That's tough. Yeah, very, very true. Very, very true. Because when you look at their religions, every religion, there is a concept, an African concept. So we are the foundation of everything that they have been saying about themselves and bragging about themselves. So they stole. And you see the Islamic prophet, he told the people when he was asked who will go to heaven, he said, those who will keep the laws according to what he had told them. And he also told them that the Sabaeans will also go to heaven. So why would he include these Black people in heaven? Yet we know that during that era, Black people weren't valued and treated well because he knew that they got the concept from these people. Even there is a book that came from the Sabaic people, and it is the foundation of whatever they wrote in their holy book and other things. So if they got the foundation from the Africans, there is no way they can now bring religion and give to us, because we are the founders. So how come they will give us the leftovers? We are the original. So we have to stick with we are the ones to teach them, not them to teach us. You see?
Yes.
So even that concept, it was from the Black people. And you will see that one in Ezekiel, maybe Yaya, you will read very fast. Ezekiel 27, 23.
27, 23.
Just to remember that the people who were on the Red Sea, trading on the Red Sea before the Romans and the Greeks, but that time there was no person even called Arab. There was nobody called Arab in that region that time, because the Greeks are the people now coming to call that place Arabia Felix, Arabia this, Arabia this. But before the conquering of the Persians, there was nobody there called an Arab. So the Arab is a new term as well. Just like white, black, I don't know, Negro, and the other names they called us came later. So even the word Arab is a new thing. It's a new definition, a new vocabulary, actually. And we will see that. Yeah, you found the verse.
Yes, ma'am. You said Ezekiel.
Yes.
Ezekiel.
Yes, 27, 23.
All right. And it reads, Haran and Cana and Eden, the merchants of Sheba, Ashur, and Kilmad were thy merchants.
All right. All those people are black people. All those people are black people. There is nobody there calling the other one the N word. No, they all look the same. They all look the same. All right. Nobody telling you black African go back to Africa. No, they were in Africa and they were the same people. So let us look at 2 Kings 19:12. 2 Kings 19:12.
And while he's pulling that up, if
Yes.
they said they were the merchants. And so you
Yeah.
talked about that prior in some of the teachings when you were on with us before this.
Yes.
Yes, who our people were the merchants of the different seacoast areas. And
Yeah.
what happened was when they came and colonized, that's what they wanted when they came in there. And you have to go back and look at the teachings that Tabitha did with us during that time to see how the colonizers came in wanting to take over, and they did take over the merchant areas, the sea trade area around the coast of Africa, the sea coast of Africa. So they have control over it. And actually that is what the World War I and II was fought over. You can see this UNESCO talks about this. They tell on themselves. How World War I and II were fought over the merchant areas and the land and the resources from the different European countries, because they didn't have what we had. They were a poor people. So they're dependent on us, you and your land that was given to you by Tatanzande. So without that land, without that resource, they will be a poor people. So you can see why they go through such extreme measures to keep a strong grip on not only us as a people, but also the land that was given to us as flowing with milk and honey.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. 2 Kings 19:12. Have the gods of the nations delivered them which my fathers have destroyed, as Gozan and Haran and Respha, and the children of Eden, which were in the Lasar?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. So before the conquest of the Persians, before the Persians take over Egypt and destroy Egypt and kill the ancient Egyptians, before that time, there was nobody called Arab. Nobody was trading there except these Africans who were trading with the Egyptians. So it was a black people trade. It was a black people trading with other black people. So these Puntites, these people who are around this area are trading with the people of Egypt. And these other people also migrate to Yemen, and there also they make trading ports and the rest. And so those are Africans.
Before you proceed to, I just want to, on that particular passage that you had me to read, Zombie, read that again real quick. I want to just kind of elaborate a little bit on that before we go on the next topic you have, Dada.
No worries. Yeah, we want our people to understand, to get it clearly.
All right. 2 Kings 19 and verse 12. Have the gods of the nations delivered them which my fathers have destroyed?
Okay, just stop right there. Have the gods, that's a little G, the nations. So it's talking about the sovereign creator. So who are these little gods? When you look at the word that they use in the Blue Letter Bible, is Elohim. Elohim is plural, and I brought this up before. It's not singular. So it's talking about gods and goddesses, kings. Are these gods and goddesses that they're saying that are gods of the nations, your ancestors? Do they not say, the gods of this land say, the gods of this land say, and they're talking about their ancestors. So here, this particular passage is talking about the ancestors of the nations, or the ancestors of the land. Your ancestors. That is why it's little G-O-D-S. Go into the Blue Letter Bible, you'll see Elohim, which is plural, which means gods and goddesses, judges, rulers, etc., etc. These are your ancestors, people. You see how they hijacked our story, turned it around, bamboozled us with it, because when they brought it to us, when it was chopped up, it was familiar to our ancestors.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we accepted it so fast.
Yes.
We saw it's our story, and then this can be like our story, you know.
Yeah.
Then you can show them the photos of the leopard skin,
okay,
so that they can see where we are coming from and where we are going.
Okay, we'll pull that up.
Yeah. So my people, Bantu, Bana Bayitu, you know very well that Africans, Black people, are the people from ancient times until presently, right now, wearing leopard skins. So the Kushites wear leopard skin. The Egyptians wore leopard skin. The Bantu wore leopard skin. We have people, some people in West Africa, like kings, not all kingdoms, because some kingdoms have a different attire, but there is a few kingdoms that wear leopard skin. And so, you ask yourself, why don't these other people who claim to be Egyptians and Kushites wear leopard skin? They don't do it. It's not even in their culture. So, and where are these leopards found? You see, these were the leopards that were being traded to Egypt from the coast. It's not only the East African coast, but leopards were all over Africa. Even today, they're all over Africa. So you see an Egyptian wearing leopard skin. You see a Nubian wearing leopard skin. Some people here from Sudan. You find the Zulus down south, East Africans, Central Africa. Dada, there is more?
Yeah, go ahead. He's going.
Yeah.
That's in Kemet, you all. You see how they wear it?
That's Kemet.
Like they're still wearing it. Yet they said that they were Europeans, liars.
Yeah, that I think is a West African king. So he just put it on his throne. He can be a Bantu, maybe from Guinea, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, yeah. Or he can be a Kushite, or he can be anything, but he's Black. He's an African. So that is our founding father, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, the first president of Kenya. And so whenever he went, even if it was to the university for anything, any function, he will not forget to wear the leopard attire. Even if he has these European clothes, he will put the leopard skin as a sign of royalty and kingship and authority and power. So it has a meaning to it. Another one.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is another king. He could be in Central Africa, around those regions, or in Buganda, maybe. So they carry him high. So in Africa, when you do something good, or the people honor you, honoring you, they have to lift you higher. That's what we used to sing in Sunday school. I lift you higher and higher. So, yeah, so they lift you higher and higher. Even you can see like the politics, you can look at the the television, when somebody wins their vote, there is a young lady who won votes, and she's maybe 22 or 21 years, 23. The man didn't mind that this is a lady. So when she won, she's coming from a very poor family, but she made it, and they really wanted her to make it. So they carry her on their shoulder. They carry her high and high. They didn't care, this lady. Maybe the shoes will get lost in the course of doing so. The makeup will come out. They don't care. So that is what they do. They will lift you higher, and they will even forget your gender, and they will carry you higher and higher. That is an African culture, and that's what you see the Pope doing. He's walking around in a very that car of his, you know, it's like made like a throne, and all these things they just copy from our people.
And they represented royalty and divinity. Again,
Wow.
we are God.
Wow.
So it represents royalty and divinity.
Divinity. Spiritual significance to it.
Yes, very much so.
So one thing I would like to add to that, when they did archaeology on that area, when they dug that area in Yemen, they found a king, and this king had a leopard skin. So I was really surprised. So if I find that content, I'll share it with Dada, and you can always ask her. I will try my best, because I have a lot of things I've put somewhere. I have to arrange them. So when I saw this, I said, okay, now you are saying the Yemenis were Arabs, but these are Sabaeans. These people of Saba, the same leopard skin they are wearing in Africa is the same leopard skin they were wearing in Yemen while they were ruling over there. So you can see that we have a lot of proof. So who is giving these people of Arabia the civilization? It is the African people.
Yes.
All right. So, but in return, they gave them religion, and the other things followed, which were very, very terrible. So the Sabaean king is in the inscriptions of the Assyrians. The Assyrians were also Black people. These Assyrians colonized Kush. They colonized Nubia, Meroe in Sudan. They colonized Sudan. So where were they coming from? They are not coming from North America. They are not coming from Asia. These people were just around. So the ruler of Yemen, who was called Ita Amar Watar bin Yakrub Malik, 715 BC. So Ita Amar, in the Assyrian annals of the King Sargon II, his name appears there. So the Assyrians know about these Sabaeans. So it's possible that these people of Saba lived the same time the Assyrian people lived. So you can have a connection there. You can see a connection there. And something else I forgot. Zaire, where the Edomites went to live. So we have Zaire, Z-A-I-R, in Ethiopia. And the Africans who went deep down in what they call sub-Saharan Africa, they named a country Zaire. You see, there is a relationship. These names are ancient names, so they keep on moving with the people. If people were somewhere, captured somewhere, or they were in another land, either it was an ancient land or they were living there for some time, they will move with the name. You see, Harare in Ethiopia, Harare, Zimbabwe. Tabor, Ethiopia, Tabora, Tanzania. Lake Tana in Ethiopia, River Tana in Kenya. Gaza, Mount Gaza in Ethiopia, Gaza in Mozambique. Zaire, where the Edomites lived in Ethiopia and Zaire, Congo. Congo is former Zaire. They call it Zaire, but because they are Bantus, they added a vowel at the end. But when you look at your other version of the Bible, it's Zaire. Then the Europeans changed it to Seir, S-E-I-R. They removed the Z. Yes.
See.
Yeah. Zaire, you'll find it, I don't know, in the 1600 Bible, King James, something like that. So there is a place called Zaire in Ethiopia. So not all Ethiopia was Cushitic. Part of Ethiopia was also part of our lands, the lands that were given to Abraham.
Wow.
Part of it. That's why you see so many wars and conflicts around those regions. So don't attack me and my people. Don't attack me. Oh, no, Zaire is here, not Harare is here, not in Ethiopia. So these names are similar. These names are similar. It seems they traveled with the people. Yes, and then Dada, there is another video. I want them to understand who is an Arab and how the word Arab became in use.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Can you see a TikTok?
And which one is it again?
It's a TikTok video.
Okay, the first one. I think you get shared two of them. That's not it,
Not
baby.
that one?
No, that's an old one. Go. You go
Oh.
back to the
Okay.
original. So
Let me check and then share it with you again. I want you to understand my people. I'll check again, and we have to know who is an Arab. Dada, can you see the Iraq video?
yeah, I have it. I'm gonna send it to him. That's what you want to show that one. I'll send it to him because you can go back to
Okay.
the ones. Those
Okay.
are, see,
We can go with that one. Meanwhile,
that's what I want. I want to pull this here up.
That's what I'm trying to do, sweetheart.
You okay.
I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I will share. I will share once again.
I'm gonna share the one with the Iraqi. Dada.
Okay, you got it.
I'm pulling it up now. I'm on where you shared it, so I can send it to him because it's going back to some old ones. So I'm gonna send it to him right now. So
All right.
Because those are okay. Now you okay? Go
Yeah, I sent it. I resent it again.
That one?
No.
Okay, that's what I have right now.
No, it's in there. That's where I want you to get to. Now scroll. Right here. Sorry, you guys. Okay, is it
Put it on
shared?
pause. No. Okay, give me 1 second. Computer acting funny. I apologize.
That's it.
So we want to know who are the real Iraqi people? Why aren't the people in Iraq have a tribe calling themselves by their name? You see, when you go to Africa, in most places, every tribe has their land and they name their land after their tribe. If you are an Ameru, we have a province called Meru province. If you are an Agikuyu, we have a town called Kikuyu town. If you are an Embu, the same. You name your land after your ancestor, after your tribe, after your people. So there's nobody in Iraq, nobody in Iran naming themselves Iraqis. They don't have the Iraqi language. They don't have the Iraqi culture. So why do they call themselves Iraku, yet they don't speak Iraku language, they speak another language or they speak Arabic. So it is the same questions when you meet an person from Egypt who claims that he's an ancient Egyptian. So you ask him, you are an ancient Egyptian? You belong to the ancient people. Why don't you speak ancient Egyptian? Why do you speak Arabic? Because you were not colonized, your language being changed, you were not enslaved. If you were taken somewhere by force, I understand that's why you cannot speak your native language. But if you are still in the land, you are not colonized and you're not speaking your ancient language, then something is wrong. That's why we tell them, if that land belongs to you, you should be able to read the hieroglyphics and be able to speak the ancient language. You shouldn't speak Arabic, you see. So that's how you defeat them in an argument. So these are people calling themselves Iraku. They are even being called Afro-Asiatic. So let me ask you a question. What is an Afro-Asiatic person doing in the middle of the continent? What are they doing in the middle of the continent, in the midst of the other people who are called sub-Saharan Africans? You see, there is a game there. These people migrated from Harar and the Harar in Ethiopia, and they moved south because of drought. They were looking for food and they moved further south and they mixed with the Bantus. And they have their land and they can speak Bantu, they can speak their language, they still have their culture intact and everything. And they tell you we are Iraku. So where was the real Iraku? Where was the real Iraq? Okay, let's go.
Also, Dada, too, another way you can tell that that is not the true people is how they extract and allow Europeans to come in, other peoples to come in and extract the bones of our ancestors. You're not gonna disrespect your ancestors by digging them up and running all kinds of tests on them. We don't disturb our ancestors. We don't disturb the dead in that sense.
Yeah.
So we know that that is not theirs because they of the disdain and the disrespect that they show to our ancestors that are buried over there.
Yeah. On point.
Iraq, a southern Cushitic ethnic group living in Tanzania. To Afrotista Films. In today's video, we investigate the Iraq, a southern Cushitic ethnic group living in Tanzania. The following are 10 remarkable facts about these people. 1. The Iraq are a Cushitic-speaking ethnic group who live in northern Tanzania. They are a prominent group that formed in the north-central Tanzanian districts of southern Arusha and northwestern Manyara, near the Rift Valley. Two, the Iraq have long been thought to be descendants of Afro-Asiatic peoples who practiced agricultural and animal husbandry in the Great Lakes region. The Iraq are said to have originated in Ethiopia, mainly in the Oromia region. Three, the Iraq speak the Iraq language as their mother tongue, which is part of the Afro-Asiatic family's South Cushitic branch. Iraq speakers are also fluent in Swahili, Tanzania's native language.
Arusha, Moshi, Dar es Salaam. Mubayna da ayamna ubayna wirmamis, baramiji sirta'aw, la peka lor sashay, la peka sashay ma ishringa gawanini. Karngi sa'an sus dengo, agida basma agida ikwai komdo o bain mosma de bain makulwani na garba bain moni de makurkuwak
4. A thorough anthropological examination of the ethnic Iraq reveals that they have strong similarities with other Cushitic-speaking groups in general. The Iraq, however, have some phenotypic linkages with local Bantu communities due to intermarriage with the neighboring Tanzanian populations. Five. Recent developments in genetic studies have thrown some insight on the Iraq people's ethnogenesis. The E1b1b haplogroup has been shown to be present in 56% of Iraqis. This indicates that they are mostly Cushitic in origin. The Iraq's second most common paternal lineage was haplogroup B, which is typical in Nilotic groups. It is observed in 22% of Iraqi males. The E1b1 haplogroup, which is very common among Bantus and is found in 11% of the Iraqi, was the third most frequently observed paternal DNA marker.
Maui, Fuki Maui, Eha Maui, Lama Maui, Piso Maui, 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 Dari Maui, Fuki Maui, Eha Maui, Lama Maui, Piso Maui, 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 Irange Shemeru, Maui, 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 Yakema Shemeru, Maui, 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 Uru.
6. According to current estimates, the Iraq number around 1 million people. Their primary habitat is in the Mbulu highlands of the northern Manyara region. It has long been noted for its intense farming and has been referred to as an island inside a matrix of less intensive farming. The Iraqi also dominate in the areas surrounding Karatu town. The Iraq may be Afro-Asiatic Neolithic populations has settled in northern Kenya and later moved south due to clashes with Nilotic and Bantu peoples. This hypothesis has been confirmed by remains discovered in Kenya's Kerio Valley that testify to the presence of Neolithic farmers who used complex irrigation systems similar to those still in use in Iraq fields. The area was subsequently abandoned due to an epidemic pestilence, which may have been the cause of the Iraq migration south. 8. Many foreign groups have been assimilated into Iraq culture. The majority of the latter are Nilotic, particularly Datoga, and Bantu in ancestry. 9. The Iraq, like the Maasai and the Datoga, measure their wealth in terms of the number of livestock they own, but unlike the other two groups, they are large-scale farmers as well as livestock keepers. 10. The Iraq are predominantly Christian, due to the efforts of Western missionaries. A small minority is Muslim and the rest adhere to various animist beliefs. They celebrate a number of rites, the most prominent of which is male circumcision, which symbolizes the journey to adulthood and involves youngsters aged 3 to 10 years. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. If you do, please subscribe to the channel and don't forget.
Right.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Dada, any contribution?
To those that are watching this, we hope that you have learned and have been educated on the truth. It is time that the lies be expelled, be exposed, and the truth come amongst the true people, the true people.
Yes.
Yes.
And also join us on Patreon as well. So I do want to apologize to everyone. You know, you saw that I kept getting up. I have to stretch, you know, because this change in weather is messing with my back. So that's why I've been getting up as often as I have. But this has truly been beautiful. And again, Dada, welcome back. Glad to have
Asante. Thank you so much. Me too. Thank you for your warm welcome and everything and support. And Dada, thank you for the backup. You are my spokeswoman, you know.
She has many titles. All right, family. Thank you. We love you. We will see.
I love you too. I love all of you and your families and all your friends and everything. Just remind them that they are loved, they are welcome. Come home. Come home, people. Don't go Mesopotamia. Ay.
Yes, yes.
We have our Mesopotamia, our agricultural land back home, the original one. Come back home, come back home. The rivers have not dried, they are still there. Yeah. Welcome home.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome home.
We're ready. We're ready.
Matondo.
Matondo mingi.
All right, everyone. Be increased.
Thank you so much.
Be increased.
Yes.
So